I'm sitting with Stephanie Donaldson in her living room. Stephanie is the contributing gardens editor to Country Living magazine. She has written several books and is also a prolific blogger. And you can visit her site at theenduringgardener.com. I wanted to find out how she got into blogging. Stephanie, did the blog initially start as a diary of your own garden?
I wish I could say that, because for years I've been advising people to keep a diary of their gardens, and I've totally failed to do it myself. And I started because I was approached by Gabriel Ash, the greenhouse makers, and asked if I would do a blog for them. So that's how I started.
Did you keep a diary as a child?
No.
So you weren't one of those sort of people who would actually continually be buried and sort of working away, jotting down notes?
No, I do make notes of things, and I pull out bits out of the paper and things like that, but I've never been organised, and one of the great things for me about the blog now is suddenly I have a real record of my garden.
So what made you first decide to start a blog?
Well, being asked to do it and thinking this is an opportunity to find out, because that was 5 years ago, right, which was really early days. And I was also going to be helped in the uploading by somebody else, so I wasn't having to deal with all the technical side of things, but just the creative side.
Right. How often do you blog?
Well, it can. Some days I'll blog each day. Other times it may be once a week. Really what happens is if I go out in the garden, I try and take my camera with me. Anything that catches my eye and I think might be interesting, then I'll take a picture and write about it. Right. Or I'll be doing something in the greenhouse and think, maybe people would like to know about this technique.
There's a huge amount of both practical and inspirational information on your blog. How do you manage to post so much content and find time to do other writing?
I think because I dip into it almost every day. It's not like a chore that builds up. It's just 10 minutes here, and then, I may do something in the morning, takes 10 minutes, then in the afternoon I'll see something else, and I think I'll do it while the idea's there.
You said you take your own photographs to the blog. Do you have any kind of specialised equipment, or is it just very straightforward?
Very straightforward. I've got a Panasonic Lumix, which I find brilliant, and it takes all the photos I need. I mean, I'd love to be a better photographer, but I think it's good enough.
Right. Did you have any formal training in horticulture before you started editing and writing features for magazines? And did you have any journalistic training?
No and no, in a way. Well, having said that, I have gardened all my life, and at various stages I have actually worked as a gardener. Writing, I didn't start until I was in my mid-40s. Right. But I've always read a lot, I've always jotted things down, but I hadn't earned money doing it that way.
Is there a symbiotic relationship between blogging and writing features?
I think it's made me freer as a feature writer. I trust my own voice a lot more now, so that whether I'm going to be writing 50 words or 500 words, I think I spend less time sitting looking at a blank screen than I used to.
Do you have to sort of discipline yourself with your time when you're working on a blog? Or is it the other way around and you find you have to tear yourself away from other work?
I have a day book next to my computer and I write a list. And the most important thing is at the top. And I'm one of those people that loves marking things as done on my list. So the blog will feature in there, but there are other things that have to be done as well, and I'm quite good about that.
I was going to actually ask you whether you actually did the sort of nuts and bolts, the back end, the computer side of the blog. You already answered that. Who does it for you then?
Someone called Daniel Carruthers, and he manages quite a few blogs. I no longer work with Gabriel Ash, but Daniel and I continued to work together on the blog. But I do have experience with another blog of doing the uploading.
Right, so you have actually experienced that side of it.
I have, yes.
Yeah. When did you first start to garden?
When I was 6.
Quite an early age.
Yes, my grandfather was a wonderful gardener, and he started me off. And in one way and another, I think I've been gardening ever since.
You co-authored the book Elements of Organic Gardening with His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales. Do you share his passion for organic gardening in harmony with nature? And do you garden using organic principles yourself?
Absolutely.
You do?
Yes, I mean, I've gardened organically all my adult life. Sort of saw the light in my early 20s, I was one of the founding woofers, willing workers on organic farms, back in the 70s, and then I became a hippie and lived on a commune in Wales. So yes,
as one does.
As one does, and I've been gardening organically ever since.
What are your top 3 vegetables, and do you have any advice or tips on how to grow them?
Oh, tomatoes. Absolutely love tomatoes because I think they taste so much better when homegrown. I think, one of the top tips is not to plant them in the greenhouse border or in their final container until the first truss of flowers appears. Other vegetables. I think the cut and come again salads, because they're so prolific, so productive, and with them it's the advice you always read, which is to successional sow, so that you've always got some more coming on and you can really pick them without thinking, oh, that's my one lettuce, I mustn't pick it. And third vegetable, probably peas, because there's nothing like a pea from the pod in the garden. I don't really mind if they don't make it indoors. I just love the taste.
Halfway up the garden path.
Yes. And, I feel as though this year I've had more trouble growing peas than ever before, so I'm not entirely sure that I'm qualified to give any advice on that.
I read on your blog about this new regulation from the EEC about packets of seeds, mixed salad seeds, having to pack them individually.
Yes.
Do you think that's a totally, incredibly stupid idea?
Yes. I think it's one of those bureaucratic, the people in offices who reach these decisions without ever actually having tried anything themselves.
So they've never done any gardening, obviously.
No, I don't think so. I think they just want everything to fit into the same box, so they want only lettuce to grow with lettuce and only brassicas to grow with brassicas.
Okay. Is there a plant you could never, ever be without?
Morning glories.
Okay. Why morning glories?
I know I love the fact that they're not around that long, that they're quite tricky to grow, but there is something about the purity of the flower, that bloom, that just absolutely, every time I look at it, makes my heart sing. And there's something very special about it.
And finally, what's your favourite cake?
Good carrot cake.
Homegrown carrots.
Homegrown carrots and home-baked.
Brilliant. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.